Hello everyone and very good evening. Welcome to Domain Analytics session here, day 1. So today our domain related stuff is construction analytics. So construction analytics is something which is trending these days. Earlier there were many things happening with respect to construction where papers were missing, many stuff could not be done properly, maybe lack of maintenance. So this also has started using, it is always, we can say that broad application is even extended into this particular sector. So because here the world is overloaded with data, and due to the steady improvement in technologies, right, here we are using analytics even in the space of construction. So the construction industry has always been a victim. Maybe we can say that, the reason could be anything, but it is poor planning. It's the first thing. Or we can say that it is management, or we can say that budgeting, or we can say that some miscalculations or cost overruns, right? Or the biggest thing is that we can make mistakes in proportions. Okay, mistakes in proportions. Okay, and many insufficient means for the building purpose. So data science is going to help us to solve all this, and at different levels, at different point of time, we can resolve any issues. So it is nothing but to improve and manage the building process. So here, when we talk about the construction analytics, first of all, let us understand the use cases or the applications or the benefits of going for analytics concepts in this space. Then from tomorrow, we will going to cover the CRISP MLQ methodology, and then we'll do the data collection, exploring the data, pre-processing, moving forward with few machine learning algorithms. So the machine learning algorithms we start with unsupervised, supervised, classification, regression, and deep learning algorithms. Anyway, at a point of time, we are going to discuss all these things, but these things are very much right, is something that, first and foremost thing is our predictive analytics. So it is a major part here where we say that prediction is what we know, and it is predictive analytics. So the point here is the fundamental data science use case is prediction. So predictive analytics, it has taken under its control the we can say that, the huge analysis of data, huge amounts of data, and it is having the capability to forecast. So the ability, we need to track the real time data first of all, and not only that, we need to do some changes into the meaningful insights which are making our machine learn those and do a prediction which will be a game-changing solution. A game-changing solution for the construction industry. So multiple scenarios may be there based on the insights. They are then applied to make estimations and to avoid failures here in the future. So the scenario starts in such a way that you are taking data, looking into it, insights, then going for prediction. This is a story in any sector. The same story we have here also. Then accurate simulation before construction. This is one of the very, very important use case, and it is nothing but we need to do some software development for construction simulation. For simulating things, you are doing this. That is nothing but construction simulation. So the simulator will have a lot to offer in construction industry. This is nothing but at every stage of your building, or I can say it for every design you have established at every stage. Then you have design issue prediction. So what is this design issues prediction? It helps for the constructors to avoid in process, maybe in any kind of operations for smooth functioning of the construction. Because when it's not of one floor or it's 2 floor or 3 floor, nowadays we see very, very large buildings. Definitely complexity is increasing. When this is increasing, huge number of calculations, so many matchings, so many combination operations are required. Okay, so this is something which is nothing but our design issue prediction. So the point here is, so when we talk about the warranty analysis, okay, the warranty analysis is nothing but to avoid problems, or we can say that the complications, whatever we have, and the field of construction, definitely yes, warranty plays an important role. Okay? So special and generally the conditions that are developed here for the purpose of warranty provision. First thing is that you sell something, but ultimately everyone is working for customer satisfaction. Everyone is looking for customer satisfaction, well-being, or the safety terms in the field of construction industry. It's only way we feel that this is the only way to keep track for building operations, or we can say reliability. So this relies on the analysis of previous things, what previous products or equipment or the material which got failed, and you have numerous other external factors also. right? So analyzing construction project risk. Analyzing construction project risk. So risk is something, this is our friend always. One is risk analysis, the other is risk management. These are the key elements for a successful erection and operation in the construction field. These are helping us not only in planning, right, or in identification, or it is classification, or it is the response analysis, and we can also say monitoring. So it is nothing but it is aiming at, sorry, so it is aiming at the estimation. What it is going to estimate? It is going to estimate the future assets. There is one thing, future assets, or you can also say whatever is required, the outcomes. So there are lot of techniques, lot of tools designed for this risk analysis and risk management. The construction projects are always challenging you to the number of factors we take into account, whether you take the siting, whether you take the technical elements, whether we take the complexity, right? Or it can be a large number of variables. So the majority of the tools for the risk analysis, it is always not exactly the number. It will be some probabilistic approach. Then comes the tracking construction equipment and assets. You have to track them, because when we talk about the construction assets management and tracking, these are critical for all the business peers respectively. But the tools for tracking the performance of the equipment, they are nothing but, now we may have to use different sensors or TMU units, or some IoT related data here is required for us to analyze. Because the equipment is not of same size, different sizes, right? Or you can talk about the vehicles, or whether it is any tool you are using at the construction site, whether it is a tractor or a digging tool or anything like that. You have to facilitate the construction process, the operations. So these tools helps you. It is nothing but now data which is being generated from these sensors. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, so the data which is being generated, we can consider that it is nothing but, it's, we can say that it is tracking the assets. It's nothing but tracking the assets. So tracking solution will help us to move not only managing them, right? Or you can make a note of it. You can even constantly do monitoring. Then comes the optimization. It is very, very important that any business owner or any person with business perspective, it is very, very important, very natural that money is something what we focus on, for completion or for implementing any big and complex projects. So these are the most precious resources. So the optimization aspects here should be smart, right? They are not only smart, but they should be perfect in a systematic manner. Systematic effort. Why? Ultimately, to increase with profit. Best possible solutions is what is required. So in this term, when we say optimization, it's not only in the business owner's perspective, it is also for the contractor performance also. So measuring the performance during the execution, right? Measuring the performance during the execution is something, it allows us to better understand, is there any possibility for improvement, or the calculations help you to understand. So the optimization process must be quite challenging when you depend upon the contractors. So this is in the management software is what is required for us to pick up the best out of it. So you're tracking the performance level. You want a software where it has to identify the subjects for the further improvement, right? So different softwares are required for us. And also accurate budgeting is required for us, where the priority. So the managers definitely they struggle with setting certain proper expectations, taking into the account maybe we can say some smart AI powered tools or trackers, which helps us to store some kind of finance information, or the receipts, the requirements, the limitations, the documentations, all can be set at one place. It's a one place. One place. So keeping track of what is done helps to stick to the plan and to make the amendment. So the majority of these tools have to be integrated, and the future risk is done, right? And so what is that which is right? So what is that which is more important here? It is nothing but whether it is to monitor any resource person, or to know whether the material standard is good or bad or is up to the mark, or whether it is to do clustering based on the locations where the same kind of the construction can happen. All these few things will help you to resolve so many problems. So a symbolic challenge in the remodeling of this is its effectiveness, for the advancement in the technology. So when compared to any other industry, right, construction business, it is accepting a major profitability challenge. So the construction sector, it has registered, a trivial percentage of annual improvement changes. So the ability here to track real-time data and change it to more meaningful insights for prediction, and finally giving you a groundbreaking solution is something we expect here. We want. So accurate things should happen before construction. So when we are talking about things here, there could be some issues with the design. There will be something like design issue. So if there is a design issue, what we can do? It definitely, when you are able to know it well in advance, it will help them to avoid the problems in the process of elevation and the operation of the building. Very, very large buildings definitely will lead to long calculations, big calculations. The combination operations all can be resorted and solved even before you start your construction. Right? So few without construction data analytics, trends are left if unfamiliar, problems should be materialized. So when they could have been, changed, and more money and time are spent on explaining, describing, planning, and forecasting. So probabilistic approaches are the main tool for solving the majority of the risk. So there are few things which we can focus, like few of the data types which we have to focus, like it's like on-site temperature, right? The material, composition of the material, okay? And the most important thing is the labor costs, work progress reports, and how well you are able to utilize the equipment. Right? And you can also have the past and the present meteorological data. So these companies have to use this financial analytics also to observe and forecast the overall profits to guide the company-wide decision-making process. Whether it is nothing but the staffing, or it is related to your future projects or your strategic priorities, whatever it might be. Because very, very important is that you should have very, very nice experience here. It's a good experience and judgment, which is important in decision making process. However, whatever the data you have been collected, it is used back, right? And you are taking the decisions here, right? And the decision making process is always relying on the data whatever you have collected, right? And you can uncover your trend and the loopholes also, so that maybe these things are not focused, they're not interested, they're unnoticed, not focused, or we can say these are unnoticed, the loopholes by the human eye, or without any cohesive data analysis platform, this is not possible for us. So we have seen such a cases where it is all about reporting was happening, and it still happens in many cases. It's a paper driven. Now we want a paperless management tool. We want a paperless management tool. Means that the data was captured, it is kept in binders, and now it is not stored in binders. We are using the cloud platforms for that, storing the data. Everything is coming and dumping in the cloud. Any robust solution, it can enable the organizations to go beyond simply collecting, analyzing data for future purposes. And that is where the power of predictive analytics comes into picture. It's all that we know that predictive analytics is something what we have here to predict the future. We know that we have analyzed the data and we are giving some information with respect to future and the outcomes to conclude the decision making process. So when the decision making process is known well in advance, what is that we can do? We can prevent hurdles before they are materialized. They are trying to identify the opportunities, and ultimately it's concluded the safety operation. It's safety. So the probabilities of data analytics for any construction project, they are endless. Whether you talk about the increased safety or when you talk about the efficiency on site to measure measurement or understanding of the project outcomes, it's nothing but how you are able to increase that particular safety. The time for us that, if we still, people may feel that there's one sector where we cannot use predictions, we cannot go for analytics, but yes, it has time. It has entered into the situation where you have to grab this digital technology, and data-driven decision making is required even in this sector. So construction assets functioning and tracking, they are the most critical factors for all the business peers. Right? So whatever might be the equipment, whatever might be the assets tracking, all that is very, very important, which is for our understanding and so that you can predict something well in advance. So safety reporting in the construction sector is something what I was explaining, like paper-driven binders, where papers go missing, reports get mixed up, so much of clutter data, and it's not of a single contractor. You have many subcontractors which are being under this particular project and all the paperwork has to be placed at one binder or something like that. Whatever might be the reason, right? Ultimately, the conclusion is that yes, we are into analytics due to digitalization. Data is being collected. We don't want a paper kind of reporting here because it has its own challenges and inefficiencies. So it's not only slowing down, we can say a kind of working process, but it is limiting its efficacy by making it more difficult, and it is making more difficult for compilation, and also because it is of not a single source, it's of different sources here. So a solution here is cloud. So we can increase the worker safety and also the productivity. So the point we need to understand here is that we are trying to figure out things where we want everything to be smooth and smooth functionality. So a data-driven era is something what we are into. So construction industry is also not an exception here. So from tracking the location of the equipment to making maybe I can say a multi-million-dollar purchasing decision. So the potential for using analytics to inform a decision-making process, these are limitless. So construction analytics is involving whatnot. It's involving the tracking of the resource person, monitoring of the construction work, finding out the reports, right? All the indicators, they are the business processes. It allows the construction companies to increase the safety and also the profitability. So there is no one size fits all the approaches or all the tools, right? You have different, depends upon, every project is not same. It depends upon the budget, it depends upon the existing systems, it depends upon the capabilities, and ultimately the desired results are also different. So data analytics, two different things, enable the construction companies to gain a better insight to their businesses. So specific project performance is not there. So it's something that it's very, very important. So budget management and forecasting. So the dynamic nature of construction projects, it requires finance management. So construction data analytics, it makes it easier to monitor the budgets in the real time, and it is going to anticipate the cash flow problems. Even before it occurs, you can just anticipate the flow of cash. So empowering project managers with robust and real-time financial data, it enables more accurate monitoring, forecasting, supporting, ultimately, finally, the better decision making. Right? So to decide the mix of the equipment to be purchased versus what equipment you have to take for lease can be decided. It's one of the common application of the construction analytics. An analysis of actual usage and downtime in previous projects, it can reveal which type of equipment is definitely you can justify the capital cost of a purchase, which ones are only used enough so that you justify the leasing time for them. So construction companies can use to guide strategic priorities here, right? And data, whatever is being collected, right? It could be a sensor related data. It's like a secondary source, and it can be also a primary source. It has a potential for not only informing, getting a better decision making on its own, but it has something to do with the kind of reports it's being generated. So the more efficient reporting, right? So whatever might be the reason, right? So you have to visualize the data, compile the information, and a digital reporting solution means that all the reports are easily accessible on internet, internal network or the cloud. So every problem, like, mostly we can avoid human error, right? Mostly it's a human error in the data entry process. So maximizing the labor productivity is something what we have, right? We are maximizing it. That's a crucial way. You want to maximize the labor productivity. And workers are not actively engaged in a task that costs money, that could be spent better in somewhere else. Overworking employees can lead to overtime costs. They get burnout and increased turnover, and the increased safety risk, all avoidable sources of added costs and time. So these data analytics, it can uncover these scheduling issues, right? Whatever we can say, maybe it is an accident reporting to address the root cause of the problem before even more serious accidents occur. Because of the employee productivity, maybe we can say that they're diagnosing problems. It can also uncover the areas of improvement of the workflow. If the workers are, we can just take an example, like they are spending a lot of time waiting for the materials, they need to be delivered. It's saying that, the material delivery is needed and the workers are, they're not working, they're just idle. So you are trying to find out that there is a balance between the productivity and utilization of the labor properly, and ultimately worker satisfaction. It's like a win-win situation for everyone involved there. So it can be useful resource here, construction analytics, which will help you to find the solution for this equilibrium, right? So unfortunately, sometimes disputes, something is very, very common, costly problem for the construction industry. Data collection, the common disputes, about the very, very famous, the progress. right? Maybe the status, project status, time, cost, material usage, and the quality. The more accurate and comprehensive the data is available here, it is better that it can be used as a source of truth, eliminate the need for it in the first place. So simply collecting the data, analyzing it, getting the power out of it is something what we can do here. Historic data is something which is going to help us. Maybe it is a paper-driven data, you're making it into a beautiful structured format, and you're trying to analyze it. Whether you want to know the type of material you are being used, and the potential of the construction data analytics is that it's nothing but from an increased normal way of using the data, it has improved a lot. And we are trying to bring these analytics into a part where we are able to solve many of the solutions. So improving the labor count, say taking that into consideration, and getting the root cause of the problem, right? Diagnosing the problems with the workers' productivity, maintaining a balance between the productivity and safety, right? So the need for the data is really very, very huge. The use of data and machine learning will definitely draw a conclusion for the automation of the construction industry. Many tools, right, or we can say softwares, right, they enhance the overall productivity. They are removing the hurdles. I can be saying these are the roadblocks. Whatever we are using, they tend to slow down in various scenarios. This is an industry where it is a quite dynamic and demanding, where there is need of labor, right, and the resources for the smooth completion of the work. The roadblocks should be reduced, keep all the sources on the track, ensuring that the new buildings, the structures are constructed up to the modern standards. It is to enhance the planning phases, speed up the construction process according to the timelines. So the point here is, whenever we are trying to resolve, or whenever we are trying to find few things here, it's something that we can say that resource monitoring, right? Whether we are able to do an optimized modeling or not, so that we can get a perfect solution for this. So it's nothing but it may not help us to do few things to up to the mark, but at least we can do a prediction of the current housing standards, right, about the price issues, whatever we are able to do. A particular area, how are the rates toggling, how are the rates increasing, or how are they decreasing, what kind of material would help in that particular weather situations or the climate conditions of that particular area. Or if you take any a mining sector side, a site where you have to monitor a resource person, whether he's working fine or not, or he's in the idle situation or not, and he has to work accordingly. So the point here is, it's something which is to predict. You can predict, right, the house prices. You can do clustering based upon the weather conditions, type of materials to be used in a particular location based things. Or we can also move forward and even try to find out the material strength being used. So many things can be done here, right? You have to build knowledge, right? We have to build knowledge on this, where we have to tackle the problem that is probably faced. If you don't have this particular domain knowledge, it is very, very tough to understand. Probably we have to solve many real world problems which we were based on machine learning. So we have to, one such issue is also your construction. So the construction itself is nothing but it is about the machines, it is about the materials, it is about the cement, it's about the rods, the corrosion here, and it can be, you know, how important it is for the building making, right? So what is that you are doing is the best possible materials, and you're able to reveal the quality of those materials is something what we can study here. So the meaning of this is that we use the best quality material, the quality, maybe it is the constructor or the contractor is working with fine or not, you know, the type of material is most important here. So, and it is something like nowadays people are moving forward with everything is ready-made mixture, whether it is a concrete roof material or whether you are building the pipes or they're using the kind of material for the rods and all that. So water, adequate watering is happening or not. So few things can be done. Data can be collected manually, but most of the data which is collected, the moist required when you mix up particular material, all these are analyzed only using sensors. So we know that the quality is the most important property for the material which is used in the building. If the quality of the concrete is less than built, you know, definitely they are not stable. Nowadays we are seeing that the soil, whatever the soil being used or the mud, they are digging out and they're taking and they're making it in the underground, right? That is the reason that many, when it's just like a huge rainfall, they are taking place. What is happening here? Buildings are getting slashed out and many things are happening because nothing but the strength. So that is what we can measure it, right? The strength of the material, strength of the mud, whether it is going to resist that particular construction. Even though the government is it's binding a particular condition saying that G+2 or G+3 is more than adequate, more than sufficient, but people are not sticking to that because they are building more than that. But the ultimately the strength of the pillars is not good, right? The underneath the beneath whatever the basement they have kept, that is not up to the mark. The construction is going higher and higher, the levels are increasing. Because of that reason also, right, the comprehensive strength, the material is not good. Reasons could be anything, but hazardous situation, worse situation, buildings are getting dumped out. So we have to analyze these things, build a machine learning model to predict the quality, to predict whether it is, so many situations they are helping, whether is there a chance that, you know, your pillars, there could be any corrosion in that, right? Which will lead to solve so many other problems. So this is where we study few of the use cases here for the understanding how data analytics is going to help us in the construction field. So the point here is whatever we are trying to solve here, whatever use case we are going to solve. So day one, we would start with crisp MLQ. We are going to take, right, which is nothing but we have the project management methodology. This will be our tomorrow session, and what are the types of analytics you are going to study, and the project management methodology, which is a 6-step process, right? And then we will move forward. How can you collect your data? And how can you pre-process it? So that you are preparing your data for making the machine learn. For making your machine learn. So, and for this, once you get this is done here. What is that we are going to do here now? We have to make the machine learn, right? So that comes where the machine learning algorithms. Whether you want to build an optimized model for one particular location, which location maximum number of people are willing to purchase a home, whether the construction cost is good enough, the land cost is good enough, the material being used by the particular contractor is good enough, you can optimize the model for the particular location. Then the next use case is nothing but resource monitoring, where you are able to know whether a person is working fine, his health conditions fine, or he is sitting idle, or like just like he's doing time pass, is not working enough. When he's in a different location, you can sit here and monitor it. Okay, and you can also do a prediction to predict the depth of curdleness in the material. Right, if you check the depth of that, you will understand whether now there will be any curdleness in the material built. Like now this is your pillar. What is this? The depth, is it sufficient or not? You can do. And finally, you can also do a prediction for sales price analysis, like when it is constructed, what is the year of construction, what is the amount of price, the price of the particular housing that you can find out. And finally, we can also predict the strength of material. There are the few use cases which we are going to cover for the further sessions for the 8 hours. So today we have understood the benefits and also the applications pertaining to construction analytics. Right? These are nothing but the applications where we are going to do. So every algorithm may help us in a different way. There may be different inputs, right? There may be different ways of prediction, different ways of understanding things, right? So this is our concept for the day, and we are going to continue with different use cases, whatever I have explained. So the constructions, so the people, definitely the domain perspective, if you say, we have civil engineers here, right? Those who are going to help us in knowing what are the key factors or what are the key elements for resolving or for bringing up the solution for different business problems. So you are not only collecting, analyzing, monitoring the data to improve your capital project outcomes, you're also trying to get an automated construction report from multiple resources. So all the human errors can resolve. You're identifying the trends, right? You're also trying to find out, we can also find the plumbing system problem, routing of the electrical and plumbing system, right? We can use, even moving forward, we can use AI, which is helping to plan routing the electrical and plumbing system here, right? So which is going to, this is something, what we can say is that it is more related to big data technologies also transforming the construction industry. So definitely, yes, on-site sensors, we have variable on-site sensors, they offer data which is going to help us for tracking the material and also tracking the workers who are involved in the work. So it increases the organization's chance of making better informed decisions here. So you are using job site sensors, smartphones, you are using drones, you are using GPS systems here. Right? All these are helping us to pull the data. It's a heavy equipment actually. So they are utilizing, to raise the productivity, we can say, right? You are having huge volumes of data, which is allowing you to solve the many business problems. So as construction projects turn more complex and more advanced, right? Companies also have to make sure that the data being captured is relevant, right? Huge data is anyway there, but what is the relevant data for us to get a solution? Whether it is structured data or it's unstructured data, because if an organization is trying to improve the worker productivity by decreasing the amount of time wasted in moving about from one construction site to other construction site, so you have to track those workers using a sensor on the materials equipped to track each move on the construction site. So data can be analyzed to come up with the solution so that the workers are not required to move around the site as much. So the thing is, data-driven project management software offers real-time updates. Here you have to building information, modeling technology, utilize data. You have to have some digitalized 3D models, on-site sensors, right, for material tracking, and also what is that very important? Analytics tools to organize them, to manage them. Whatever is required is the most important point here. So when we talk about any particular application here, right, most empowering thing here is a labor productivity, or whether it is your from industry 1.0, now it's like industry 4.0 here. Data now as important as anything here. Explosion of data is there here, right? And the point here is optimization of the operations is something very, very important. Dashboard reporting is important, but the data whatever you're collecting might be useful to you, might not be useful to you. Picking up the relevant data here, right? All these things which are going to help us in many ways. So you need, so from tomorrow we are going to study how we want to control, estimate the cost, how we want to find out the performance of particular resource, how do you monitor the strength of the material or the curdleness here, right? All these things help us to understand the concept of this domain, which is construction analytics. So thank you all so much for joining in. Thank you.